Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 4 of Indie Game Dev Report. Thanks everyone for listening and following along here. I feel like the podcast is progressing here and getting a little bit better. I've got a really awesome interview lined up, and I can't wait to get to that. First, I do want to go over some things. I haven't really prepared too much because obviously the coronavirus is basically the only thing that's anyone's really talking about right now. That's not the only thing going on, but yeah, it's pretty big. And honestly, I have to apologize for my last podcast because I had no idea of the severity of the situation when I recorded it, and at the time it just seemed like a small thing that was going away because in my country that's what we were being told. Obviously that's not the case, and things are quite different. So yeah, what I was saying was that I felt like GDC being shut down was because of large companies making brash decisions. Obviously they were making the right decisions, and I apologize for my opinions before because I was misinformed. But yeah, so obviously visibility is way down as far as marketing goes, and trying to get your game out there is really difficult. People that have Kickstarters right now, my heart goes out to you because it's just not a really good time for that, unfortunately. And I would say try again, definitely. Just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean it can't work, because timing is definitely a big thing, obviously. And right now it's just not a great time for a lot of things, unfortunately. But what it is a great time for is buckling down and learning and sitting with your project and doing your best to do that. And also networking online is a great opportunity for networking right now, because I don't know about you, but personally my phone's been going off, I don't know, like 200% more than usual, which is great because I normally I fall victim to just solitude normally. So the fact that everyone's got this solitude going on right now and is still trying to stay connected, and they still have a drive to speak to one another. I've been talking to a lot of different people that I haven't normally spoken to in years, some of them developers and technical people, but also just regular friends and stuff. So it's great that this opportunity is here. We can't take that for granted. But yeah, obviously some things really need to change within our infrastructure in the US for sure, and probably all over the world. There's a lot of things that obviously are coming to light here. But without further ado, I do want to introduce Indie Imprint. This interview is awesome. So we got 4 of them. There's 6 members total, I believe, in their development project, and we'll go into the details of that. It's a little bit long, so grab a snack or something, but or break it up in segments if you need to. But it's really great information, and I'm really happy with the final product here. So thanks so much for listening again, and enjoy. So today I've got an awesome gift, I guess. It's for me and probably for everyone else. I think this is going to be a really cool interview. We've got almost the whole team of Indie Imprint here, and we haven't really done much chatting here, so this will be like a networking experience a little bit as well. But they've got a great story for you about how they started, and if we could start with Jess, if you want to tell us a little bit about where you got started and how you ended up into games eventually. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your full name.
Hi, okay. I am Jess Alter. I am actually a science fiction author. I started Indie Imprint about 10 years ago as a bookseller, and we expanded out to creatives, basically supporting creatives, music, art, books. And now we recently started working on a game. I got to be the writer for it, and we've just kept collecting amazing people. Generally, our goal is to connect indies up. We really don't make a lot of money connecting people, but it's the purpose to get creators together. That's really where we're going with that. And at this point, we all got together and made a GYATM, Get Your A to Mars, and it's been just a ride. And now our current work in progress is just a thrill, and I absolutely love working with the team that's here, everybody here.
Wow. So, and you didn't mention the name of your current project.
I have not. Our current project is called The Smugglers of Cygnus.
That sounds really cool. And I did look into, you said, Get Your Ass to Mars, right? That looks really cool too. I didn't get a chance to play any of these games yet, but I saw some footage and it looks really great. I'm a big sci-fi fan myself, so I'm also a fan of sci-fi literature too. So I haven't actually read any of the titles, but I'm very interested. And also, you're local in the same state as me, being that you're in Flagstaff, so that's another point of interest. But yeah, it sounds like you have such a great team. Who would you like to introduce first?
Okay, our lead developer is Mike, and go ahead, Mike. Start talking about. I'm terrible, by the way, at interviews, so.
That's fine.
All right, so
you're doing great.
Go ahead and shoot.
Okay, Mike. So, where did you get your start in games and development? And you're a developer. So, are you more programming, engineering? Do you have any technical art sides to you, or is it just software or games? Or how do you feel about that?
So, I got my start basically with Byte Magazine back in the early '80s. You know, I was always putting in those games that were in the back of Byte and never ever worked. And so that really got me interested in both the concept and the implementation of it. And those were all in BASIC, of course. And so I did a lot of stuff in BASIC up to about '84 when I started learning C++. And
awesome.
You know, between C and C++, I was a real fan of that as a method. And then at the time, I learned a bunch of 68K assemblers so that I could play with the Macs that we had at the time. And that was a great deal of fun working on the Commodores and working on the Macs. And since my family is all engineers going back quite a ways, you know, electrical engineers and mechanical engineers and civil engineers. So we had a lot of very high-end horsepower around. I was able to get an introduction into all of that kind of stuff. So the whole way through school and through university, I was focused entirely on artificial intelligence, actually. So I did a great deal of expert systems, system design, circuit design, electrical engineering. So that was a very big focus for me. And then, of course, you know, career-wise, you know, I came up at just the right time to get yanked out of school for the .com era. And so I did a lot of Bay Area design stuff. I did stuff for a bunch of studios that don't exist anymore. And if I was smart, I got paid in advance. And a couple times I got paid in stock and got screwed over. You know how that goes.
It happens.
And, you know, the very first game that I worked on was for SRI back in the mid-'90s, and that went absolutely nowhere. The title that I worked on came out with a very Descent-like feel. It was built on AutoCAD's 3D technology. And I
love Descent. What was the title's name? Or the name of the title?
Oh, I don't know if I even remember anymore. I think it was like like Space Dungeon or some stupid name. I don't even remember anymore. It's been over 30 years now. And we came out probably a few weeks before Descent hit the market. You know, it was hard to keep track of other studios, not like it is now. Now I pretty much know everybody who's doing a sci-fi game even similar to ours at the moment. So I could be like, hey, are we positioned well against this game? You know, what do we need to do to make sure that we don't look like a copycat? What do we have to do to make sure that we've got what they haven't got? You know, that kind of thing. But
so you picked up some market research experience?
Yes. Seeing your game in one of those bundles for 20 CDs for $20, yeah, that teaches you some lessons.
Well, it's funny too because I was a fan of Terminal Velocity, which was another Descent clone.
I remember that one. Yes,
I thought was awesome, you know. So it's weird how some of those bubbled up and some of them didn't, but yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. I mean, whole studios like Sierra would come out and do amazing and then just vanish into the maw of EA and whatnot. So
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I've been doing corporate coding for a variety of systems, healthcare, defense, things like that for the last while, and then Indie Imprint had done the game shell edition of GYATM, and they wanted to do something bigger. So I had been working with them a little bit here and there, doing I helped with a few pieces of code here and there for a little bit, but they were like, "Hey, we want to do this game," and so Jess pulled me on, and it's been awesome. So we went through GYATM and did it entirely in Unreal. It's very rough because we had a tiny budget and a very small amount of time, but it works very nicely. And then in this game, we have a much bigger budget. The budget hopefully will be enough to make it an actual AAA title. That's what we're shooting for. And then we've been working with some production partners like VoxPop, so it'll have a much bigger platform and a much bigger distribution than just a little proof of concept game. And we're really hoping that when we get this one out, we'll be well into the 1,000+ copies range. And hopefully we can use this as a launching point for our next game, because we have plans far beyond just these two games.
Absolutely, like any good dev studio should. Sounds like a awesome time to be working with you guys. And you said VoxPop was the partner that you're working with?
Yes, VoxPop. VoxPop is a new studio out of Brooklyn, and they're a very interesting peer-to-peer platform. And I don't know too much about the specifics of how they're planning to do what they're suggesting that they're going to do, but we're big in helping indies, and they're an indie, and they're helping us, and we're helping them, and we'll see how this goes.
Wow, yeah, no, I'd love to research more about that type of partnership. Sounds very interesting. Sounds like a great plan. Cool. So just picking random here. Let's find out more about Sten. What do you do on the project, and what's your background like?
Yeah, my name is Sten Jørgen Pettersen, and as Mike said, I live in Norway. In my role in the imprint is basically testing and brainstorming, mainly.
Cool.
I do QA, and my background is just about all over the place. I started gaming on the Commodore 64.
Sure.
Back in the 80s, and went on to Amigas and PCs.
Awesome.
And don't do a whole lot of coding or anything like that. I'm a general nerd.
So you have QA experience prior to this, then?
I've been doing some stuff for various Linux distributions, mainly Ubuntu.
Okay, cool.
So I've been running Linux since 2001.
Okay. So are you're a gamer today then, I take it?
Yeah. But I do quite a lot of gaming whenever I have the time, but I do have 2 kids, so
Sure.
My gaming budget is quite limited.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most people's budget is limited right about now. But yeah, when you're a QA, and I test my own games, so I know the feeling of playing a game for testing purposes and then playing a game to try to get enjoyment out of it. Do you see any cross interference there, where sometimes you're just trying to enjoy a game, but you're now looking at its bugs and thinking about how you would report it?
Well, my mindset when testing something is quite different from when I just want to play a game. When I try to test something, it's usually something very specific. They're trying to replicate a bug.
Sure.
So having to remember my key presses and what to do when and stuff like that. But when I try
That's
to.
really underappreciated.
Yeah.
People do not appreciate how hard QA is, and Sten has a real gift for it.
Nice.
So, but when I just want to play a game, I'll just put all of that aside and just enjoy the game. But I am the kind of guy that will report a bug if I find one, regardless of what I'm using at the time. And I'm also the kind of guy that the first line what's the word? When the first line customer service, they hate me.
Oh, sure. So you're one to call in and tell people what the problem is.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's all right. We need those types of people.
Usually send along some debug log or something like that.
And that's the best, because if you can actually help solve the problem, then you're actually definitely helping. I'm sure that everyone appreciates that. And have you ever joined like an open beta for like a larger title, like I don't know, Elder Scrolls or something like that, along those lines? Or is it more indie?
Well, quite a few actually.
Oh, okay.
But the one I played the longest in beta was The Secret World back in 2010-11 when they were in development.
Oh, okay. I'm unfamiliar with that, but I was doing a lot of work at that point in my life. Interesting though.
The Secret World was, rather is, an MMO by a Norwegian company called Funcom.
Ah, okay. Cool. So the MMO experience is something that you're more prone towards?
No.
No?
Secret World is basically the only MMO I've ever played that I haven't been bored within a few days.
Ah, okay. Yeah, personally, I'm not much of an MMO player either. I do enjoy some esport type MMO type stuff, but not so much the MMORPGs. I mean, I guess I just haven't found the time to invest in something that I actually really enjoy. But that's just my own personal take on it. But that's very interesting, Stan. It's like a lot of good stuff. Were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
I fully agree with you on that.
Yeah. Some really cool betas in the last few years, though. I was testing the Forest and the early access for Subnautica. Those are both really cool experiences to watch them do the testing like open like that. I always thought that was an insane experience, like for the devs,
Yeah, it helps for developers to have lots of people playing their games, because then you have lots of people discovering bugs that you probably wouldn't have discovered otherwise.
Oh, absolutely. And you get the feedback, and hopefully you can make the game better. Absolutely. That I feel like it changes the style of development, even where you end up focusing on features that might actually get some like public opinions. So that way you can generate some type of not like conflict or drama, but just something to talk about. And then obviously it becomes harder to do the things that are behind the scenes, and sometimes those are the more time consuming things, and they don't show on the surface, and that can be difficult when you're open beta. But yeah.
The main issue with that type of development style that I see is that you will have quite a few people that don't have any idea what development actually is, and they expect some form of patch every single week that gives them some sort of progress in the development, and they don't understand the whole behind the scenes stuff.
Right.
The back end. That one example was a Canadian company, Sauropod Studios. They had this game called Castle Story a few years ago, which required some major changing in their AI because they were using way too much CPU time. And that took, I think it was 4 or 5 months
Wow.
without any patch. So people were starting to call it abandonware and all stuff like that.
Wow. But it pulled through in the end?
Yeah, they pulled through, and it's an enjoyable game. I still play it from time to time.
Hey, that's great to hear. Awesome. All right. Should we let's ask Arturo. What's your role in the project?
Basically, I am following Mike Baby orders about about what's the the appearance, the art of the game. So I'm a graphic artist, a 3D generalist artist, focus on sci-fi, hard surfaces, and all that stuff.
Wow. Now, did you study art in college or just personally?
I'm afraid I don't have any formal education on the mother, so I'm a self-taught artist.
That's very impressive.
Uh, well, I think it's only due to the fact that I don't have any kids of children, so I have more free time to me, and I can waste it on develop new hobbies like 3D modeling. But yeah, I'm trying to make my way on this field.
I can relate to you 100%. I did study 3D modeling in college, but as far as my computer science background, I have no formal education in that, and I trained myself in the course of 10 years only because I don't have children or any responsibilities really other than my own. So I totally understand. And I think a lot of the listeners relate with that as well. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices to get really good at things, and it really depends on what you want to get out of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have been related to the computer since I was very very young. My like 5 years old, I have my first computers. It was a Spectrum. It was
Wow.
a very European computer.
Sure.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Indeed, I run a small IT business not related to this 3D modeling stuff, but
Oh, wow.
it's of
So
course
you're a business
related.
owner as well, then.
Yeah. I think I am afraid I am. I am. Yeah. So I told you before I have no kids, so
Sure,
I have
sure.
plenty of time to develop
Yeah.
some fields like that. Yeah. So my professional life has been always related to computers, and I started the 3D graphics very early, maybe in 1998 or 99,
Wow.
maybe. Yeah. I will check with you the one snapshot of the first game. I I made some stuff and assets for the game. It was like a Diablo clone.
Oh, okay.
Diablo clone. Yeah. It wasn't very popular here in Spain, but well, we made a few sales. So it was my start as 3D artist, but life goes through, and I needed to stop a bit, develop my own career as an IT field technician, and now I run my business, and also I am deep into this 3D. It's like to me, it's like a reboot. A few years back, I started to model in Blender.
Hmm.
Started to fiddle with Unreal Engine, and I'm very passionate now, very deep on this thing. I think it has. Maybe it's one of the most. How I could say it's one of the field that has the brightest future on all the fields related to the computers right now. One of the most profitable, strong. Right now, the video games are almost everywhere, competing with classic sports, and I think it has a bright future.
Yeah.
I'd like right now to have 20 years old, but I'm afraid I I have almost no. Actually, I have the double, 41 years old. So I am a bit
Sure.
late, but I am training. I'm trying. I am
40
I'm
is the new 20. I think we
yeah,
can all agree.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. So I
That's
think
great.
this is one of the reasons that makes me so comfortable being part of Indie Imprint. So I think I have I can talk with people that actually understand, have similar experience across the life, because every everything everything you do on your life, it gets reflected on your work on one way or on another. But finally, I think I can understand the nuances behind all decision they made about the game, and I feel so comfortable. I think it's the greatest thing about work within the Imprint.
Yeah. No, I can see that you make a great team together.
Yeah. They really, since the beginning, they made me feel totally comfortable, and they are always hearing all my ideas. We have a very nice feedback cycle, so we are iterating very quickly and developing new ideas that get through the pipeline so well. So yeah, it's a breeze to work with these people. Yeah.
Now, are you doing the art direction as well, since you're a smaller team?
I will not say I am holding the art direction, but I also I am not so. I need to get a better grasp. Maybe I think we are still on a very early step
Okay.
to get a solid art direction, but I think we're tracing some strong lines that are leading us to make a very cohesive art right now.
Absolutely. And that's the most important part, is the cohesiveness of the project and all the parts working together. You mentioned that earlier, before the podcast started, that there was 2 members that weren't on the podcast.
Yeah, so we've also got Julian, who's doing some QA and help with some of the brainstorming, but he's still in college, so he's got a very full plate. And then we have Diego Nunez, and Diego does the Spanish translations for us, and he's been very, very busy since his father died. So
Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that.
they've been a little bit absent. Yeah, they were much more involved in GUI ATM.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that over the next 2 years of this project, we'll see a lot more of them. But it's not supposed to be anybody's first and only priority. Life comes first, and life is more important.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And so that's a great segue into your projects. Should we start with GUI ATM?
Okay, yeah, we can absolutely talk about GUI ATM. We can talk a tree's ears off on GUI ATM.
All right, let's start with the beginning then. Does that sound good?
Definitely.
How did the conceptualization of GUI ATM start? I believe there was a small version of it, right?
Yep, that one was all Jess. So I'll turn over to that.
Okay, I did actually play that one. I did actually play it, and it was very cute and very fun, and it looked like the art worked well for it. It was a very small game, but it was enjoyable for what it was.
Yeah, with that one, I'm not really a computer person. I mean, okay, we're gonna roll back. I'm like 10 years older than actually pretty much everybody else. So when I started with computers, we're talking long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking like actually, I think, Return of the Jedi was not out yet. Okay, that is when I started dealing with computers. So,
Okay.
so I didn't. I did some of the Byte magazine stuff that Mike did, except I never really was actually good at making it work. So two different backgrounds, and we're typing the same stuff, but for some reason, it always broke for me. So this was something that was it was really a labor of love and very hard, and I had a lot of hand holding with it, but it was something I really wanted to do, kind of bucket listy. And getting the story together, a lot of it, in particular with Smugglers of Cygnus and GYATM, was getting the right creatives together to be able to have this almost there's this whirlwind of creativity that just is absolutely so wonderful, which is why I'm so happy to have so many different people. I mean, Sten for the I just did beta testing. Sten was actually really integral in getting a lot of that story going. Particularly, he's our go-to guy for Bachmal. So, absolutely wonderful. It's something I'm definitely 100% on. Is we will always release with Bachmal. So because pretty much
I'm unfamiliar with that. What is that? Okay.
It's Bokmål. It's the main written language in Norway.
I see. Okay.
We have 3 different written languages.
Oh wow! I'm learning something here.
Right.
I did not know that.
Sorry, I mispronounced it. Bokmal, not Bachmal. So anyway, so having a bunch of creatives together allows us to be able to improve and make something thoroughly different and special, and I think unique, because instead of just having everything to we're pretty much a bullpen.
Uh-oh, we lost you. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I'm using my phone, and my phone for some reason keeps breaking.
That's okay.
The other reason that I actually don't do much coding is because I break technology all the time. Apparently, I inherited it from my mother. She can actually make a computer crash playing Minesweeper. So I'm not really great with technology physically. Okay, does anyone else want to chit-chat about all this stuff?
Well, I do have one question though, Jess, about the first version. That was for a game jam. Now, how many hours was that game jam for? Like, how long did it take place?
Oh God, I don't even remember anymore.
Usually they're like 48 hours or 72 hours or something like that.
I think
like 2 or 3 days.
I think this one was a couple months. It wasn't a game jam.
Oh, okay.
It was
so that makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, game jams are a great way to, like what you said, kind of fulfill your bucket list. Because if you want to make a game, you're not going to be able to make your dream game right away.
Exactly.
All of your notebook ideas, they're not going to work right off the bat.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Jumping into a small team, maybe the first game jam I didn't even know the team. One of them was in Cairo. I'm friends with them now, but I had to learn how to work across seas, and I had to learn to work with completely new people. And people dropped off of the team mid game jam, and it was very stressful. But we made essentially it could have been a product, but we decided not to sell it just internally, and it's still played today. So I mean, it's
fantastic.
It's a great experience.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But it's also difficult. Well, I played your game recently too, so what you've done is still being played.
Oh yeah,
and it's important.
It's like I said though, I had a lot of hand holding. Oh my gosh, a lot of hand holding, and through that actually I met Mike. Because I just really, it's one of those things of you try. God, it was like for the Raspberry Pi, it was this little cute little thing, a little Kickstarter thing, and you're like, oh, I want to do this. But then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not smart enough to do this. So then I had to go out and start collecting resources. And all of a sudden we got this great group of people who, I mean, I started out as a fine artist, but I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be as good as Arturo is at any of this. I can't code like so. A lot of it is trying to get people who are better than me to do this stuff, and then it's just
Sure.
and then it's so wonderful just being inspired as an author, as a writer. People will come up and come to me and we'll be bouncing ideas off each other. And then this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work. And all of a sudden someone will say something and boom, a whole new feature has been added. And it's wonderful. That's the best part of going indie is being able to have that creativity. Okay, now hopefully someone else will pick it up.
So at that point, after the game show piece, the pitch was, okay, let's take this and make a real game out of it.
Sure.
And I'd known Sten for a while from a metal forum that we were on, and he was like, hey, if you're doing this and you need someone to test, you let me know. And I was like, absolutely.
Right on.
So we ended up doing a much bigger scope. We instead of it just being, as you saw, you just run over things and it adds, and then the ship arrives and everything. It ended up being a more of a building game. We still wanted to keep it small. I mean, the budget was $500. It was microscopic.
Okay. Yeah.
But within that range, a lot of it was honestly used for assets and for music, because we wanted to make sure that it had at least something of a soundtrack, even if it was a bit sparse.
Sure.
We were able to hit, I think, the goal of getting a game that was minimally engaging, and we were aiming for 45 minutes of content. And I think we hit that. Most streamers seem to spend about 3 hours on it. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Oh, wow. Very cool. And as far as the expectations versus reality of the development process and time spent, and obviously you said the $500 in the budget, were you able to profit off of it?
Yeah, it's still selling currently. In fact, actually, it has a little sale, a COVID sale coming up on the 30th that will last until the 6th. So if you want to get it for 10% off,
okay, and
that's a good time.
We can find it on Steam?
Oh, yes, sir. It's on Steam. And
awesome.
Yeah, as far as the effort, UE4 took a little bit of work to learn. I've been playing with UE4 since 4.09, but I hadn't done anything with it of any significance. And then I've been pegged, to help Indie Imprint do a little VR museum contract for somebody, but they ended up not buying it, so we only did a part of it.
Okay.
There were a few little things like that we had done.
Sure.
And so I was comfortable enough with it to proceed, and I think we learned a lot about the Unreal Engine and the way that it works and how it handles things over that particular project. And since unfortunately some of the artists that we had worked with previously are no longer with us, they had a legacy of a certain design language that I wanted to keep. So we made sure that we kept that the whole way through. So a lot of it is basically the work that they had done, and then I learned a little bit of blunder along the way. When it came time to do the new game, I was like, I got to find the best sci-fi guy I can find. And I looked all over Artstation, and I looked all over every place, and I really narrowed it down to two people that I wanted as art directors, art direction, whatever you want to call it,
sure,
for the new game. And that was Arturo and Chris Hunt. And Arturo is amazing when it comes to sci-fi robotics and whatnot. You should see some of his work on Artstation.
Yeah, I plan to make a YouTube video of this interview. So any images and video of screenshots from games or art from your portfolios, things that you've worked on in your past, I plan to put them in the YouTube video, so people will actually be able to see what we're talking about if they check it out on YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, an interesting little tidbit that isn't too widely shared about GYATM. Now, there's 7 Easter eggs, of course, right? Okay.
At the moment.
I did not know that.
Only 3 of them have ever been discovered, and only 2 of them have been discovered on screen. So, like on a stream or anything of that sort. There's a lot of in-jokes in that game, including, I love the one that Sten put in that's in the actual bookmall translation. If you notice in the intro.
Wow. Okay.
Because I had gone with like an IKEA joke and he took it like an extra step, which I thought was just great. And I think there's a couple jokes in Spanish in there as well, in the Spanish translation.
Wow.
So, we're working really hard to make sure that the new game comes out in Figs. And so we're going to make sure that all the roster for the Figs is all native speakers, because you can't really make puns and jokes and witticisms in second and third languages. It's a little harder.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
So we're building that roster. We have a few of those people, but we're not worrying about that too much until 2022.
Sure.
But for GYATM, one of the interesting tidbits is it was originally going to be a 2D game.
Okay.
We were originally looking at 2D isometric, sort of the same style as the original one, but better, right? The idea was, hey, what can you do if you were to take $500 and instead of it being a 2-week project like it was for that one is in phaser, it's 2 weeks long, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some thing about the game shell thing ended up having like a time extension or whatever.
Yeah, it did. It was supposed to be a couple weeks long or like a month long, and then just longer and longer. So it's like, oh, okay. So it actually kind of started really a lot smaller than it was and a lot more basic. So it was able to actually get expanded out. And like I said, leaned on Mike. I'm like, how do I do this? How do I make this suck less / not suck / actually be fun?
Yeah, the definite fun aspect is the hardest part of the game design for GYATM, because survival is a difficult genre to do, and survival building is definitely difficult. I mean, pretty much everything that you can do in a survival builder has been done between Alpha Centauri and Sid Meier's early works on the space travel stuff, through Civilization, and then through any number of Mars settling missions. And I'm pleased to look at the other ones that come out, like Surviving Mars and a variety of others, and think that ours actually doesn't look anything like a copycat. It looks like a completely different type of game.
That's great.
Yeah, the red sky helps.
Oh, that is definitely a thing for me. I spent, when we were looking at doing the original design for the extended version of GYATM, the Dragon Edition, which of course is a pun, the goal was, okay, I wanted to make sure this is on Mars and it needs to feel like it. So I spent easily 5 weeks studying everything. I went through all of the landing footage. I went through all of the orbiter footage. I went through all this stuff. I read a bunch of the history on it.
Mm-hmm.
I took a crash course in orbital mechanics to make sure that I had a general feel for what was going on.
Absolutely.
And all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I put all this into the game. So, obviously when you see the atmosphere is appropriately colored. When you see Mars, it's all from CGI versions of actual images.
Mm-hmm.
The surface is a combination of some marketplace assets from Mars and some real footage I took just from, my native Arizona, which is sort of Martian looking.
It is. And,
we put all this together to get, what I thought was a pretty unique feel. We got the little dust trails running along behind the guy and all that kind of stuff. The gravity is at 1/3 G. These things all work together, right?
Sure.
And yeah, it is definitely a pet peeve that anyone who knows me knows I will complain at the screen when I see games that are larger in scope and larger in budget that do stupid stuff like have blue atmosphere on Mars.
Yeah.
Mars absolutely does not have a blue atmosphere. Has a red atmosphere. I mean, this is not rocket science. There's no water.
Right.
This is the kind of detail that our team has. This is a kind of detail that everybody, all of the contributors for Indie Imprint, the people coming together, this is, why in particular Smokeless with Cygnus is doing so well despite being really, we are really, really like right at the brainstorming spot, and it's just rolling along really well because we have people who are detail oriented, who think about these things, who game, and who are, it's like I always told people other authors is that, you really know you're an author when you're reading a book and you're like, you want to write the sequel or you want to fix this stuff, or, as opposed to just, oh, this book sucks, blah, blah, blah. Actually like thinking about how to fix it, how to improve the world, how to do the detailed stuff, being able to pick out the mistakes and stuff. And then when you would create your own book manuscript, you'd think about these things and do that. And it's the same pretty much in every art in particular is just pushing oneself, not just competing with others as much as pushing oneself to one's own personal creative limits and then going farther. And that's what I think is so wonderful. For example, with Mike, where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is fine. Mike's like, no, it's not fine. It's not fine. And he did it. And now we have this absolutely stunning game that is going farther. And Smugglers of Cygnus is going to have that same type of going farther. And I'm so excited. And this team, just amazing. Great people. Y'all are great. Y'all are great.
I'm excited for you. It sounds like, a sense of perfectionism, can go a long ways. Especially, it sounds like you have a nice, amazing team working together, so you can spend that time to make sure you get things just right. It's really awesome. I'm excited for the Smugglers of Cygnus. It sounds really cool. Now, what kind of gameplay has been decided? You said you're still brainstorming, but is there anything that's set in stone yet, or is everything still kind of fluid?
You want to take that, Mike?
Sure. So we have actually got, the early stages of the prototyping is in progress. You've probably seen the video.
Mm-hmm.
So the general theme.
It looks great, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that of course is Arturo's art coming through right there. He's doing the AI species, because there are 4 species that are playable in this game, and they all have 4 very unique art styles. That's a key element. We went with sort of a Weta approach, right? We wanted to have it look like, if you ever look at the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes information,
sure,
Weta went on in some detail about how they designed a history and a culture for each one of the species with its own full art style and its own way of doing things.
I remember that.
Before they started creating the prototypes.
Yeah.
So that the elven art at a glance was obviously elven, and the dwarvish art was at a glance obviously dwarvish, et cetera, right?
Sure.
So we did the same thing for this. So we've got a person who is good at organics, who we've got him on retainer, but we can't actually afford to hire him yet with the way budgets go. Hopefully after the COVID stuff has run past, we'll be able to pull together.
Sure.
We've got Arturo doing the amazing AI stuff, and he's spearheading the charge, since AI is the main species we're working on this year.
Nice.
And then the other 2 species we're still working on because they're starting sometime in 2021. But so the player has 4 non-human playable species. There's no humans whatsoever in Smugglers of Cygnus. It takes place in the Cygnus galaxy, a whole different place.
Wow.
And because it is a trading and exploration game, sort of a Firefly meets Euro Truck Simulator kind of thing.
Okay. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You have a tremendous amount of freedom, and that was very key. For example, you can choose to play the game as a straight up, I just want to, onload product and offload product and not worry about it, where you have a job market, you just pick jobs and go play, right?
Uh-huh.
You have a auction market where you're bidding against other, essentially AI characters, but you're bidding against other characters, to try and drive down the bid so that you're taking things that are more of a challenge that you might make less money on, but you're going to have a better, more interesting run. There's obviously illegal products, so you can actually do straight up smuggling. There's things that you may be able to purchase legally at location A, but are illegal at location B. So you have to, smuggle them onto the planet. There's also ones where it's legal at the start location and the end location, but to get to the end location, you have to travel through a corridor that is not legal. Sort of your Smokey and the Bandit scenario.
Okay, yeah. No, I like these ideas.
Yeah, because we have piracy, you can either be a victim of piracy, or you can engage in piracy, or you can even hunt pirates if that's what makes you happy.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I was thinking that, and I wanted to say something,
Oh, yeah.
but I was hoping that it was going to come out of you. It just
Oh,
did.
yeah.
So that's really great.
So there's financial aspects that you can get into as far as you like. There's piloting aspects that you can get into as far as you like. You could almost think of it as mini games, depending on how you want to look at it, but they're not really mini games in the sense of a mini game. It's more, there are aspects of the game that you can wall off or that you can pursue, and it's entirely depending on how you want to play it. And that's very key.
So the meta is based on your personality, then.
Precisely, yeah, exactly. If you want to do like a Han Solo Chewbacca kind of thing, or it's just you and your buddy running dodgy goods around the galaxy, you can do that. You don't have to hire a complicated crew. You can just keep it very minimal and just smuggle / barely make it if you want to. If you want to run an empire, you can hire a full bridge crew for your ship, make money, hire other ships to work for you, pick out what they're doing, and do it as a desk job if you really want to.
This sounds amazing.
Or if you just want to be a nitty-gritty pilot, you can do that.
I really like all of the ideas you were presenting here. At first, when you were describing it, it sounded a little reminiscent of No Man's Sky, but with much more intention. And I think that No Man's Sky could have actually really benefited from more intention in the game's design, because I have it, but I don't really play it because I don't know what to do. And it's not because there's not things to do. It's because I can't personally decide.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a real pet peeve with procedural. I love procedural for things like shaders. Procedural shaders,
Sure.
Brilliant idea, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want to have to make AI cobwebs,
Right.
But I don't believe in procedural gameplay. I think procedural is good just for filling out details that are more or less irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Like GYATM uses procedural mine locations. So the ore on the planet is redistributed each time you reload the map, just to make it a little bit more interesting.
Sure.
But it's not really, a critical thing.
Right.
So in this one, I'm currently building some of these solar systems,
Mm-hmm.
and the solar systems are all hand built. Because the solar systems are hand built, things like asteroid belts are procedural, but things like, can you actually accomplish this, is very much so a real thing. You always will be able to.
I think that's important.
If it's incredibly hard, it's because it was supposed to be.
Right.
Exactly. And there's actually a couple different ways of doing guidance for this, because one of the problems with No Man's Sky, as you said, is you don't really know what to do. You're like, okay, I got a ship. That's great. I could go find a species I don't care about on a planet known. Whereas this one has a little bit more of a Euro Truck Simulator kind of handoff, right?
Sure.
The game starts where you are just graduating from essentially space trucker school. In fact, that's sort of the direction we're going with some of the TV and radio ads that we're going to be pulling out for it.
That's a great idea.
And you can either continue working for the parent company, or you can get loans and buy your own ship and go do your own thing. But no matter which way you go, you'll always have the option of people giving you opportunities that just pop up for you. Hey, we need you to go do this. Hey, we need you to go do that. You can look at the job market whenever you like and pick up new work. You can be outclassed. Somebody can steal a job out from under you.
Wow.
Where you said, hey, I can do this job in 2 jumps and I need this much for it. And somebody else is like, well, hey, I can carry more cargo and it's slower, but I can do it for cheaper. And you can just have it sniped. So there's always something that you can do, and there's always, more that you can work on for it. And that keeps it, the whole point is to keep that engagement so that you're not just like, I got a ship and I don't care.
Right on. So it sounds like you've got a lot of ideas already kind of worked out, and you know the direction as far as gameplay and stuff goes. And now, how much has actually been prototyped at this point?
So at this point, the goal for 2020 was to get 2 species and 2 of the intro levels. And I would say that we're on target for 1 of the species. Financially, we can't afford to get the other species off the ground yet, so we'll probably get 1 species and 2 of the intro levels, and that's okay. We'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the goal for 2021 is to get the other species and then the other intro levels, and then by the end of 2022, we want to have a vertical that we can shop around, a fully playable 4-level intro, essentially.
So
that
by the end of 22,
goes all through the beginning. Yes, that's the goal, is by the end of 2022. And then at that point, we will be able to say, okay, the demo ends right after the point where you're handed off to go do whatever you want to do. so that you get to see all the various things the game holds.
Wow. Yeah, no, I'm really excited for this. I mean, a couple of years, it'll take a while, but I'm excited for it. And I'm sure I'll still be excited for it then. It sounds like a really cool project. And until then, we can always check out
GYATM.
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 Get your ass tomorrow. Yeah, and it's one of the things that's interesting is GYATM is extremely science grounded, right? It takes place in near Earth, near time, right? It's set 80 years after Brexit, so it's all very real right now science. Pretty much everything in there is based on something.
Kind of sci-fi, yeah.
And, there's so many sci-fi references in there. And this new game is really more science fantasy because it takes place in another galaxy. So there's things like, there's a lot more of that science fiction far future. So there's more interesting things. I mean, you have aliens that talk. You have aliens.
Yeah.
You have things like this that are going on. You've got fully sapient AI species, right? So there's a lot more going on in this one. And it's more interesting to have the freedom of saying, hey, I don't have to figure out exactly the specifics of what makes this robot able to fly around.
Mm-hmm.
I can leave that a little bit gray and let the writer go figure that out.
Sure.
And it's great because we have these wonderful brainstorming sessions where everybody is tossing in ideas and suggestions. They're throwing in their 2 bits. They're throwing in their 4 bits. Everybody's talking the whole time, and it's fantastic. And we've recorded a lot of these, right?
Sure.
So we have this huge volume of backstory and everything, which is key because the next game,
mm-hmm.
The Smugglers of Cygnus, actually takes place in the same universe as the game that follows it.
Just really far away.
There's already a
right.
Exactly. So there's already a sequel being planned for Smugglers of Cygnus that takes place in the same universe.
Wow.
So really fleshing out that universe is huge, and we're hoping that will be one of the major differences because our studio is really big into things like Elder Scrolls and Ultima, and we really like games that have an actual proper mythos and grounding, not just Centipede.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I imagine that's where Jess comes in with her extensive background as an author.
Oh my God, yes. She writes it, we make it happen.
Yeah, the problem is
Very
actually,
cool.
I write a lot. In fact, a lot of my beta readers are very good at I can write 1 million words, and then my beta readers have to come in and make it 250,000. So I like Tolkien. I am seriously a backstory person.
Nice. That's great. I love to write too, personally. Unfortunately, I haven't published anything. I have quite a bit of words that are just sitting on my computer that aren't edited, but eventually I think I'll get there. But right now it's just mostly writing for games. But yeah.
Well, hey, if you need an editor, Indie Imprint, I actually edit for Indie Imprint, so especially science fiction, all that stuff, sci-fi, fantasy, all that stuff. So I'm having a great time, doing this.
So, what other services do you provide then, other than editing and obviously you're making a game? On your website, I noticed there was a tab for services. It sounds like you do a lot of different things. We work with authors as well, right?
Yeah, I do. Mostly it's editing. We get books, ebooks, print books, basically put together. I don't print them, but we get them ready to be sent to print on demand. Mostly we actually hook people up, get them together. So hook people up, but I'm like, oh, that has a total different meaning than when I was younger. We get people together.
Sure.
Creators together.
Referrals.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like you work with a cover artist who does beautiful art.
Oh gosh, yes.
And it looks like you do all type of editing, proofreading, formatting, all types of different stuff, reviews, referrals. So yeah, it sounds like a really awesome circuit of people that are working together.
Yeah, that's primarily what we do. Yeah, we're not really we don't. I don't really make a lot of money, which is why this is taking so much longer. If I had the financial stuff to bring in even more independent creators, and I just basically have a team of 100 on this on Smugglers of Cygnus, then the next one then I would. But at this point, I'm a real person, just like, most artists. We don't have a ton of money to do whatever we want. So we're just kind of,
Right.
shoestringing it and flying around the universe trying to figure things out here, there, everywhere.
But it's extremely noble to go into what you love as a full-time profession, even though it doesn't make as much money as, working for the man, so to speak.
Well, I found that with creatives, it's generally a thing of you accept the reality that you're going to starve. And real creatives, anybody who has ever come in for, as a that I've dealt with as an artist, I said, you're not going to make money at this, but that you are this because you can't not do it. It's basically, if you're a game creator, you can't not do it. If you're an artist, you can't not do it. Yeah, okay, you may have to have, a side gig or rather a core money-making job to support this thing that you are. It's a question of, you are Arturo is an artist, and he does the IT to support being an artist. I'm a writer, and I do, oh my God, just everything I can to support being a writer and also doing this,
Sure.
So everybody has, we all have our day jobs and then our superhero art sides, where we're trying our best to make it as artists. But being an artist, you're not gonna, you are an artist. Making a living as an artist, that's not very easy to do.
It's very, very difficult. And or as a musician or in any form
Exactly.
where you're relying on someone else's experience, can be very difficult to get paid. But it's so rewarding when you get someone to have the experience that you're shooting for, or to get great feedback from people, to make awesome friends and networking. It's extremely rewarding.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of the whole Indie Imprint thing, is we're indies helping indies. We're connecting indies together. We're saying, the giant corporations, here I go, you ready for this?
I'm
The
ready.
giant corporations are making a ton of money on the backs of creators. And that is just, it's so wrong. The abusive nature of a lot of these corporations, where you're like, I'm not a human resource, I'm a human freaking being. Don't treat me like a resource.
Right.
And I
agree.
Which is why we're constantly, someone says, oh, I need a person to do this. Oh, I need a person to do that. We are constantly pointing out, people in the directions so that they can network, so that at some point, if we're all hanging out, holding hands, we're a big damn network.
Absolutely.
And that means that when one of us falls, we catch each other. Mm-hmm. Everybody catches each other. That's the whole purpose of Indie Imprint, is indies helping indies. Am I going to make a lot of money at it? No. Would I love Smugglers of Cygnus to be this big giant thing? Oh my God, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't love to have that breakout game that just becomes the hugest thing when it comes out? But for me, it's getting to know these people who can do these things that I admire so immensely. Things I know I can't do, and I keep being told, "Oh, well, I can't believe that, how hard it is to write," and they don't seem to understand. It's like, why am I not making millions of dollars as a writer? I'm like, because writers don't make that much money, or some do.
There's a lot of writers out there.
It's
very hard to get seen.
Exactly.
It's a lot like game development. There's visibility is an issue.
Exactly. It's like every creative endeavor. And then, of course, if you look at the way that things are built, again, you have these layers of people who don't create, who consume, on the backs of the creators.
Yeah.
So it's the little guys, all these little different creators. And like I said, I like to see us all, holding hands and catching each other instead of basically wandering around with these giant corporations on our backs while people are making money off of what we do and our creative endeavors.
I agree so much.
But that's just me.
I want to piggyback just a little bit off what you're saying here, even because right now we're looking at companies like Netflix and YouTube, and yeah, maybe you really appreciate what they show you and stuff, but they're really, really taking a bite out of the action when it comes to what the artist should actually be getting paid. YouTube especially.
Exactly.
Like how hard is it to get money from YouTube? It's extremely difficult, and anyone who uses the monetization will tell you how difficult it is. And yeah, I'm sure there's people that are doing great and all they do is fish or something like that, but that's not everyone. That's 1 in a million maybe. And it's
exactly
when you're a consumer, and you're not a producer, it gets really easy to become lazy because the big companies are saying, look how easy it is for us to just show you content all day long, just binge, and you only have to pay $15 a month. Well, do you think the content that you're consuming is worth only $15 a month? Absolutely not. You're getting a deal. So where's that coming from? Who's actually getting, the poor end of the stick? It's the artist. That's who's getting it, unfortunately. So, and that's just the reality that we deal with as artists. All we can do is stand together to fight it. And then there's a whole nother thing where there's this. It's almost like it's just like a poor attitude amongst beginners who think that they're in competition with each other when that's not the case at all. Because the reality is that even though you're making a game and I'm making a game, and they say they're both sci-fi, even like I'm not stealing your players and you're not stealing my players. If anything, we might share players because we share a genre.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I absolutely agree and I absolutely understand. And the thing is, when you have independent creatives going out, you're not getting the same old thing. I keep seeing, like, for example, in movies and in books, in books where it's like something will take off and then everything is like that for the next 2 years, and they just keep trying. Yeah. So all of these people who normally would be writing their own creative stuff, their own universes and their own independent, works, are sitting there basically, cookie cutter knocking out the same thing. And as an independent artist, and honestly as a mouthy, annoying, the type of person who would be called a Bernie bro, which I'm like, whatever. But I believe in I believe that creatives, we should actually seriously consider unionizing. I don't have a big enough shop to unionize. I mean, yeah, I've got basically me and people who I pay when I can, so I have to do it by, piecemeal and contract work. But if I had a shop and I had the money, I would definitely be a union shop. We'd have, especially with the IT people, holy cats, it's amazing how people take it for granted. The infrastructure that we've got right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
The failing infrastructure.
So it's like, exactly. And I'm like, all these people who are sitting here and have these great ideas and who could actually, we could have all these amazing things, that great future that we all thought we were going to have in 2020, 50 years ago, we could have that. But no, the creatives basically were just crushed under the money, machine. So now a small, tiny handful of people have all the wealth. Much good it'll do them, because we're not going to have the kind of world that all that wealth should have been able to create, all of the amazing stuff. So yeah, actually, I definitely want to go ahead and, if that's basically my wanna list, is I definitely want to have a game developers union at some point, so that creators, all types, don't get abused.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking to hear what happens when the small studios get eaten up by the big ones. It's just, it gets me right in the gut. And I guess, but like you said, I guess I was born a hippie or something, because I'm like, oh, why?
No, you're just empathetic. I mean, you care about
Yeah.
people, and there's absolutely
I
nothing wrong with
do.
that. We live in a society that's like you were saying, you're being pushed to do things that you wouldn't naturally do. And one of those things is to put yourself
Exactly.
way before everyone else. Don't get me wrong, take care of yourself,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
this is only because you can't help other people if you don't help yourself. That's the only reason you should be taking
Exactly.
care of yourself. It's not because you're more important. It's not because you're a better race, or it's not because you're a better upbringing or class. It has nothing to do with your last name. It's because you can't help people unless you're helped first. That's the only reason why anyone should be helping themselves. And I don't think that people understand that.
That actually reminds me. I actually asked a airline attendant at one point why. Yeah, I have kids. I'm like one of them. I have children. They're all grown up now. But when I was flying with my child, I wanted to know. It was against everything for me to put on a mask for myself before someone else, and it was explained to me. You put on your mask first so that you can help the person. Otherwise, you're both passed out, and then you can't help anybody. So
Right.
that was something I really learned was, okay, yeah, you're right about take care of yourself so that you can take care of other people. And I'm in a position right now, very fortunate to be able to take care of people. It's not much, but it's what I can do. And I'm so happy to be able to get creators together. That's what I can do at this point. And right now, we're building this great team and we're able to move forward. And I love this because then, while I can't pay them, I'm telling other people all about where to find them, where to talk to them, pointing. Oh, well, you need a artist. Here you go, Dspazio, Arturo. Sorry, you need a coder. There's Mike. You need music. There's Hexencraft. You need a voice actor. There's Kyle Hester. We just have all of these wonderful, wonderful connections, and that is my favorite part about being, Indie Imprint. That's what we do is we connect creatives to creatives.
I'd like to. Well, I should say I will throw maybe a more positive way of thinking about what's the current state of the creators, because I think that we are right now enjoying, and this is kind of opposite of the dialogue you had before, because it is really true all the things you have just talked, because everyone that makes a nice work and a solid and professional work knows how difficult it is to really make things work. So I understand that part of what are the challenges of put good products and make it successful. But anyway, I think that we're now living an awesome age of uh, I don't know really how to say, but people right now, and I am specifically thinking about the younger people, have a plethora of awesome software and tools that they can freely download and install and start to think around to express their artistic creativity without any barriers. I can't remember any past year or epoch that this will be easier than now. So I think that we are living a good, a very good epoch, a very good age on this game developing thing, because right now there are multiple channels that you can promote your games. You can even easily start publishing your products and start selling. I can tell you multiple kind of ridiculously easy games to do that they are really success because they trigger feelings on the people. I'm right now thinking about Agar.io. You know that cell eating game that is very very popular. So I will say that I know that difficult of make good things and get it working, but also I think that we are living a great moment to start developing. I will dare to say to put myself as an example of this, because I am really busy, as you told before, and I told you that I'm running an IT business, like the real life business that maintains me and my family and also and all that stuff. But also I am discovering every day new open source tools like Blender, Armor Painting, or even Unreal Engine, that not being a free tool per se, lets you to start putting your own vision about what a game should do, or what I don't know, medical simulation, architectural. I think that this is a good moment to start projects like that.
I love that you make this excellent point.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
I am only trying to put my vision on the table, only because I don't I think that yes is full of reasons about why we are saying this, because it is very difficult, but also we have plenty of tools to reach our audience and try to sell our products, because after all this is a business and you need to keep your profitability to a bare minimum. And as an artist, I tend to express my own vision, but I need to retrain other ideas and give my public that my public wants, not the thing I want to do.
Right.
I-
You're doing it for someone else when it comes down to it. And
I was only making this a point.
no, it's an excellent
anyway.
point. It's really an excellent point, and it's something like, especially right now, everyone's kind of downhearted, rightfully so. There's a lot going on in current events with COVID.
Yeah.
It's very easy to just look at the downside, but the upside is huge. When I was a child, I loved games. I had no idea that I would eventually be able to make a game on my own, and now that I'm able to do that, I can say 100% that what you're saying is absolutely true. The barriers have never been lower, and they're just continuing to get lower. And that's great for creators. It's great to start creating stuff.
I absolutely agree.
It does create hurdles, but it's not something we can't overcome.
Oh yeah, the democratization of content creation has been amazing. When I was a kid, you had to basically smuggle CDs from other countries. And now I think half of my favorite artists are actually from countries that I could never have gotten music from before.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, and the internet, obviously we're dealing with different issues with the internet, but for the most part, it's been very helpful for artists and for creators to share and learn from one another. I can't tell you how much I've learned just from other game developers. I wouldn't be able to do it if people weren't helping each other.
I have to agree with that. In fact, as a writer, I always seem to be surprised when people are saying, help me with my Patreon to get my book published. I'm like, you literally need nothing. You need to write your book. You need to figure out, you go online, you can get free help, with learning how to edit. You can even make your own very basic cover, and then learn how to upload it,
Sure.
and then have it on print on demand. You don't have to buy a ton of copies like you used to have to do it with a vanity imprint. You literally, with Lulu, they basically, they'll take care of pretty much everything for you, and there's no financial investment. So yeah, you're right. We've actually supported a couple of people where getting an artist for a different game that I didn't pursue, but we helped this artist, and this artist was able to purchase a program which allowed them to be able to develop their skills on that and actually parlay that into games. So now they're actually doing other games too. So it's one of those things of, indies helping indies. We're just trying to boost each other. And yes, you can start pretty much almost free and then go up and up and up and up till you have the skills to be able to theoretically, get into that top tier. But there is a level where your pure consumer is going to go, oh, well, it's not an EA game. It's not it's not a this game. It's not a that game. I mean, I think I heard yesterday someone said, we have so many, we don't need another Fortnite Twitch stream.
Right.
The idea being is, okay, well, Fortnite is massive at this point. And, I'm like, but we've got so many other games. I actually, I watch a lot of indie Twitch streamers.
Mm-hmm.
And these indie games that no one will ever see, no one will ever think of, no one will ever know about.
Yeah, I'm the same
and
way.
That's very sad. Yeah, and that's one of those things is you just, you to all of these people who have these 17,000 plus. And I'm not, you're not going to see these people who are playing independent games because they're not, these 100,000 viewer people. And it's the, if the big guy versus the little guy. But yeah, no, I think if indie helps indie, like I said, with the hand holding for all holding hands and not, when people fall, they will be caught.
Mm-hmm. And then the next step is that when you do bubble up, if the chances are right and everything works out and you become AAA, then it's your responsibility to help everyone that's helped you and to try to reach out even further and help as many people as you can. And I think that's where we're seeing a little bit of a turnaround with some of the bigger streamers where they're realizing that YouTube's not their friend or Twitch isn't, or Amazon isn't really always their friend. Sometimes it's best to actually, like, I think it was Markiplier played Death and Taxes recently, which is in our circle of indie friends on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's super cool. He's a huge streamer. And he just decided on his own that he was going to play their game. And that helped them a ton. I'm positive of it.
That was fantastic. And, speaking of Fortnite, thank God for Fortnite, because if it hadn't been for Fortnite and for the fact that Epic is headed by somebody who feels the way that we do, things like Unreal and the Unreal Marketplace wouldn't even exist.
It's true. And we do need competition for Steam because clearly they're just out for the money. But yeah, it's hard not to work with Steam as well because they've got all of the players, So, but things are changing. Things slowly, more indie markets are picking up, and sometimes more players are playing more indies. It really depends on the game. Untitled Goose Game did really, really well. Some of these Switch.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but it's funny.
Yeah, things are going up. Things are going up and up for indies. So we've got that to look forward to.
Yeah. I'm realizing picking Fortnite out was probably, as Mike pointed out, picking Fortnite out was probably not exactly the one I probably should have, singled out. But
it makes sense, honestly, because the reality is that I get tons of invites from people or follows and stuff from people who only stream Fortnite, and I get it. They want to stream what they want to stream. That's fine. But like you said, they're not going to get big as a streamer doing it. Probably, maybe, I don't know. The chances get really slim at that point. So hopefully they're passionate about what they're doing. But yeah, it's not really my content that I want to watch. But yeah, hopefully people can do what they love, and hopefully what they love is indies. That's the way I look at it. And yeah, it would be cool if Fortnite was an indie, but you know what? Rocket Ball's an indie, and that's pretty. I said Rocket Ball. Rocket League is an indie, and it started that way, at least. You know what I mean? Psionic started as an indie company, and it took a long time to get Rocket League to where it is now. and they thought that it would help them by selling out to Epic, and it probably did help for a bit. I don't know if it's helping the esports
I am really
now,
a fan of Rocket League, so I am listening right now. Yeah.
No, I'm a fan too.
Diamond
It's a good
3,
game.
sometimes on Champ 1, so I can tell you that I spent few hours on that floor
Right.
game.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah.
And Arturo, are you familiar that it actually started under a different title and it didn't do well for like 3 or 4 years before Rocket League came out? Did you know that?
No.
I cannot remember the name, but it was really long. I'm gonna look it up real quick here.
No, I think I just immediately fall in love with Rocket League the first time. Maybe it's because the Spaniards are very
Okay.
are pretty much on the
No,
I can't I am having some difficulties between the soccer and football. So what
yeah, American
yeah,
soccer, and European
we
football.
are on football. So yeah, I
That's hilarious because I actually, yeah. Oh, I was just saying is that actually, I am an American, and we actually call it football in our household because there's football and then there's what Americans play. Gridiron. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's American rugby. Actually, I think I call it American rugby
Yeah.
because that's what it is.
Is it
That's funny.
Isn't a more correct term football?
So
I
back
don't
to
know.
what I had mentioned. So the original title was called Supersonic Acrobatic Rocket Powered Battle Cars,
Yeah,
and it came out in October of 2008 in Europe and February of 2009 in
I
got those
recall
backwards.
now. Yeah, I recall now. I never played it, but I saw some YouTube videos, and I knew that Rocket League isn't the first iteration of that gameplay. Yeah,
It's
so
funny to think how much
I,
time was spent between the two, and it was still essentially the same game. And it was
yeah,
really the title that was the tipping point, it seems like.
I think that Rocket League is one of these games that push the right keys um, on the right moment. I mean, it's a simple game. There is not a big entry barrier to start playing. It is casual. It has not let's say elements of controversy because there are no violence, no sex, only
There's no guns.
Yeah, cars and balls only.
And the cars fly. I think the flying car part was probably the selling
the
point.
trick.
Yeah.
That's the selling point. Yeah, so I have the opposite feeling on Fortnite because I really hate Fortnite. I don't understand why Fortnite is what it is, but I think it is. You can understand all. You cannot aspire to understand all the tendencies and why the people do what they do. But well, it seems that Fortnite is a great game for a vast number of people, but to me it's pretty boring, and also I am so terrible playing this game. I play a few times. I think I am on level 2 or 3. I have the basic gun. I don't know. I actually I don't know how to play that game.
I haven't played it at all. So I downloaded it, and then it asked me for my gamer tag, and I kind of had a panic attack and just never went back to it. Apparently, I don't have a gamer tag, so can't play those games.
Oh wow!
No,
I love the idea of any game that makes you frown.
Royal gamer, but I can't. I trade affix. How is it called? I have it installed. Apex Legends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I installed it because I actually I don't play the game. but I like to take a peek on how they make their models, because I think it is a marvelous way of learn how they make the graphics and the art they make.
Mhm.
So there are some tools available to download and export art assets, and it's a pretty big thing that you can't already watch how they make the guns, the assets, the scenery are more levels, environment. It's delicious to see how the pros work on
Wow.
this.
So you're saying that they're
Yeah,
streaming the
and
development of Apex Legends? Is that what you're saying?
I am saying that it's a marvelous way of
Ah,
learning how they make the games right now, because I am usually I am lurking around the 3D artist forum like
I see.
Polycount. This is a, this is a very famous one. They tend to make kind of a, I don't know how to say it, but they craft like a or, orthodox reality about how a game should be made. Let me put an
Sure.
example, and I hope not to go so
Oh,
technical.
that's
But
fine.
yesterday, uh, a famous modder, I think it's famous because to me it's famous almost,
Sure.
called DTC Porter, just released an extraction tool for Doom Eternal.
Oh, wow.
So right now, Doom Eternal is the the new kid on
Sure
the
is.
block. I just bought it because it's so awesome. It's like a compendium of how the art should be made on the sci-fi. On this, it's a very specific sci-fi language, but anyway, it's awesome how the detail it is. So to me, it was clear that it will be the one of the my first purchase this month. So I bought it, and yesterday that guy called DTC Porter published an export tool. So today I started to export art assets and know how they made, those awesome guns, shotguns, armors, player models, and I am learning the techniques that they are right now using on AAA games. And this is an awesome way of learning. And the thing I wanted to tell, and sorry because I tell yes and the guys at the first one of our first meetings that my English is terrible. It's like those people that drives without ID license. That's my English.
Your
So
English is great. Don't worry about it at all. You're doing
no,
fine.
no,
You're doing great.
I know it is not so great. Well, the thing I was trying to say is that they are packing the textures so tightly that they are not respecting the minimum space between island. I hope not to go so in deep, but this
No, I know exactly what you're
surprised
talking
me
about.
very.
You're talking about UV
Okay,
plotting,
yeah, yeah, so
your UV
padding.
islands.
Yeah, so they are right now using 3 or 4 pixels padding on textures on 2K square
Uh-huh.
textures. So this is kind of a thing or an heresy, no? Like,
Right.
oh no, you need at least 8 pixels padding for 2K textures, and you need to go to 16 pixels. And this reminds me that we need to focus more on function and forget sometimes the form or the orthodoxy about how we make art, because the, it looks really, really, really good as it is. We don't need to enslave ourselves on rules that are constantly changing.
You're absolutely right.
So yeah, I am a fan of Rocket League.
And Doom Eternal. I plan to grab Doom, but I don't have the time right now, so I might wait till it goes on sale. I don't know. I probably won't. It looks amazing. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they release, I don't remember, AGM or Digital Foundry just to release a video about the new their new engine, the IDTech 7,
Okay.
and it's really awesome. They are heavily relying on decals, and it's all that people like me that are on 3D stuff will enjoy pretty much that game.
Yeah.
I think it's like a living cause. People are spending $500, $600 on course on CGMA, but this game is like a course of CGMA of on graphics development.
Yeah. No, they're doing a great job, and it's all cutting edge. And you know what? A little tangent here. Doom was actually what got me into game development. That was the first game that I started modding. Was the original Doom
Yeah.
and Doom 2. So yeah, I love Doom, and recently I've been playing the Doom Sigil, which was Romero's. He was the original designer, the level designer for Doom 1. He recently made a new episode and just released it for I think it was the 25th anniversary, or was it the 20th? It was 1993. It came out. So yeah, but yeah, that's a great game. So.
Did you try that new Doom mod called Brutal Doom? Brutal Doom. It is called. It's a gore. It's like a mod that enhanced that gore factor of Doom, and it's pretty nice.
No, I haven't checked it out, but I've heard about it. I know that they've added lots of mods over the years, and things are just getting better because people are still interested in it, which to me is like a no-brainer. But to other people, it's a little confusing, I guess. Very cool. All right, so we've been chatting for a while here. I do kind of want to wrap things up a little bit, but I want to make sure that we've gone over everything that you all feel is important to talk about. Is there anything else that we're missing in this conversation that any of you can think of?
Hey, don't forget to check out the GYTM sale next week, and check out Vox Pop. It's going to be cool.
Yes, Vox Pop.
Oh, Vox Pop, yeah. And how much is the original price on GYATM before the sale price?
So GYTM is $4.99 US.
Oh, okay.
And the sale's a 10% off sale.
Oh, sweet! Wow, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to grab it and check it out and tell you guys what I think. Cool. So I want to thank everyone.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Honestly, I mean, this has been an awesome experience for me. I learned a lot. I'm sure that the listeners did too. You all seem like a really great crowd. I hope to remain friends with you all. It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, definitely.
Cool. And so is there any like shout outs or tools or tips and tricks that you want to say at the last minute type thing? Any nuggets of information that people could like take home and learn from? Or anything you want to just bring home one more time?
I think if I was going to say something like that, it'd be, whatever idea you have, just start. Don't let anything hold you back. Even if it doesn't get you where you want to go, you at least have something to build on.
I think that's great advice. Just get out there and do it. Give it a shot. Learn from it. If you make a mistake, you probably will. That's fine. Don't be afraid of the mistakes. They're going to help you.
Yeah, that follows up with a little quote I have on a T-shirt that I just will not give up, which is the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. See, there is no someday. And that today is the day to do it. I'm feeling pressured already. At 50, I'm feeling like pressured to do more. So, when it feels like you've got the time, in fact, right now is a fantastic time to write that manuscript. Do those paintings, learn from oh my gosh, so many different places to learn stuff. When I was young, you couldn't figure really out how to learn a lot of stuff, and I can learn. I've learned so much from YouTube, from the internet. I appreciate very much people sharing their knowledge on the internet, because that allows us to be able to, get the expertise of individuals. And, so I appreciate having this opportunity. And even though, we are in a very scary time, sometimes in adversity, creativity seems to thrive and grow. So this is a great opportunity if one's anxious to pursue some creative outlet. Let it come out in writing, in painting, in art. Learn a skill. Teach yourself a skill, because we can learn. Don't just sit down and consume. Be a creator and be part of that, and it feels great. It feels absolutely incredible to be a creator.
It sure does. And it's extremely important too. There's a lot of talk about what's essential and what's non-essential right now. And I want to remind everyone that art is extremely essential for what we're going to be doing in the future. We won't be able to evolve without it. And what we need to do is evolve. So art is probably the most important thing we can do right now. I mean, obviously, healthcare is probably on top of that right now. But if we're going to learn from our mistakes, we're going to need to evolve. So if you're stuck at home because of your business was deemed non-essential, start your essential business as a creator.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Sten or Arturo? Do you guys have anything you want to add as closing thoughts?
Well, I could just say that to mirror what Jess just said, I basically learned to make chainmail armor on YouTube. So learn pretty much anything.
Yeah, I love YouTube.
If you just put your mind to it, you can learn whatever you want.
I agree completely. I mean, I mentioned that YouTube is difficult when it comes to being a corporation and monetization and that type of stuff. But as far as the service that's being provided, it's actually being provided by the individuals that are uploading to YouTube. That's what's really important. And that's not going anywhere. Even if we were to shut down YouTube by not using it or something like that, we would still have the content. We would just find it on another platform. But the content is all user-based, and these users are saving the world by teaching each other. So if you're a YouTube content creator, keep doing it. If you stream what you do, keep doing it. I think that this is a great time for that too. How about you, Arturo? Do you have anything to close with?
No, I think I am fully satisfied.
All right. Well, I really appreciate everyone's input. This has been a really great interview. I'm definitely going to check out Get Your Ass to Mars, and I really cannot wait for Smugglers of Cygnus. And I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. And hopefully we stay in touch and maybe even do another interview like this in the future to recap on what you've been up to.
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to give updates. I guess as a creator, it's wonderful, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again about the path that Smugglers of Cygnus is taking. And yes, it does seem to be a long road, but that's the nature of creative endeavors. It doesn't just magically manifest the night before it releases. There's years and years of people's favorite games generally take years and years of development to get from that seed of an idea all the way to this amazing thing that people can criticize and say,
did they even try this? Did the devs even play this game?
Did we get that? We got that from GYATM, didn't we? Did the devs even play this game? Yes, we did.
Yeah, somebody said it was impossibly hard, and I actually have a video of a speedrun that only took 7 minutes. So if it's impossibly hard, maybe you should try harder.
Well, when you're a dev, you're going to get feedback that's just all over the place, and it's kind of our job to decipher what they're actually trying to say. And maybe what they were saying is that they were looking for a more lazy experience, and they're just not your target market.
Oh, yeah. The way I see it, if somebody cares enough to leave feedback, I'm happy. Negative or positive. Yeah. Some of it's kind of funny, but I love people leaving feedback. It's like, if I inspired you to leave feedback, you played my game.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
It's an achievement in itself, and it's not easy either.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing this interview when it comes up.
Awesome. I'll try to get it up as soon as possible. thanks again, guys. I really appreciate it and can't wait to see what you do in the future. Stay safe, everyone. I know it's right now. Just be healthy and be safe. Do what you can.
You too, and everybody go out there and be an indie, helping other indies, please, please. Together, we all will make it. You know, rising tide raises all boats. So let's all do this together. We're all in it together.
I love that. The rising tide raises all boats. Awesome. Well, have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to that awesome interview with Indie Imprint. Don't forget to check out GYATM or Get Your Ass to Mars. Check out Smugglers of Cygnus. And everyone do your best to stay healthy and stay safe. My heart goes out to anyone affected by the COVID-19 coronavirus. Stay inside and do your best to limit contact with others. Abide by your laws. Research stuff before you spread the information. And make sure you follow your local politicians and vote accordingly. Let's take this opportunity to emerge as a better society and as better individuals. Thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of your day.